Hey, you guys. If you grew up in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, you remember when television wasn't an endless buffet that you could stream at any time. We called it appointment television, and it was a seasonal event, almost like sports. The broadcast TV year had a rhythm to it, and the networks would roll out their lineups like clockwork. New seasons of our favorite shows, as well as brand new series, would premiere in the fall, usually in September, which was a huge deal. These were the shows that anchored the season's primetime schedule. In February, May, and November, you'd hit sweeps months when networks pulled out all the stops, with big guest stars, dramatic twists, and very special episodes. Anything to grab ratings that would set ad rates in stone. Then there were mid-season replacements that tried to sneak into the schedule when other shows fizzled. In the summer? Well, that was Rerun City. But for a TV nerd like me, the real TV magic, or maybe the real madness, happened behind the scenes in what the industry called pilot season. Every year, from January through April, the studios cranked out dozens upon dozens of one-off sample episodes. A first episode, known as a pilot, each one designed to introduce a show's concept and characters, while trying to convince the network executives that it would definitely be the next big thing. Writers were typing like their lives depended on it. Producers were gambling that lightning could strike. And actors? Well, they were bouncing from audition to audition, hoping that this would be the role that defined their career. But the odds were against them. There were a limited number of primetime slots, and the competition was fierce. Shows that became TV staples, like Cheers, Family Ties, Different Strokes, well, they were unicorns. Most pilots never made it past a single screening in some executive's office. A few lucky ones landed a series order. Fewer still lasted more than a handful of episodes before disappearing without a trace. And sometimes, a pilot never even made it to air, or maybe it aired once and then vanished, becoming a weird little ghost of TV past. But for a brief moment, each pilot represented a whole world that might have been, and the people making them believed this was the one that would stick. And that's what today's video is all about. Real pilots from the 70s, 80s, and 90s that were never picked up for a series. Hi, my name is Natalie, and welcome to my channel, my so-called Gen X life. And this is TV pilots from the 70s, 80s, and 90s that you didn't know existed. Scared Stiff was an unsold comedy pilot featuring two bumbling private detectives named Henderson and Austin, who were hired to investigate the mysterious murder of Mr. Delgado. As they fumble through clues and misunderstandings, the tone fluctuates between low-key humor and mild suspense, aiming for a light detective comedy. Created, written, and produced by Gary Marshall, Scared Stiff starred Bob Denver after his star-making turns on Gilligan's Island and The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. Denver played Henderson, and Warren Berlinger took on the role of Austin. Unfortunately, the pilot failed to find its comedic voice, with several reviews criticizing it for being unfunny, without any structure for it to work as a crime comedy. The chemistry between the leads felt weak, but honestly, they really didn't have much to work with.
And remember, if you ever need two brilliant private detectives to aid you in a case, call on Austin and Henderson,
the most fearless crime fighters in the business.
Class of 55 centers on Peter, a 37-year-old man returning to his college campus on the day his divorce becomes final. In a bittersweet reunion, he meets his ex-wife Christine, and as they revisit their shared memories, he realizes he still wants to reconcile. It's a reflective, character-driven slice of life, a drama-tinged romantic comedy about second chances and the echoes of young love. Created and written by James L. Brooks, who, by the way, would go on to create shows like The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Taxi, and The Simpsons, Class of 55 starred Alan Alda as Peter, just months before his breakout role in MASH. His wife, Christine, was played by Louise Lasser, 4 years before she starred in Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. And the supporting cast included Jamie Farr as a photographer, who would later join Alda on MASH. Produced for ABC, the pilot aired just one time, on November 30th, 1971. As an introspective, small-scale drama with nuanced character beats, Class of 55 just struggled with its tone. Its mature, emotional focus didn't really fit into the lighter sitcoms that ABC favored, so the network ultimately passed on turning it into a series, which honestly was a good thing, because if they would have ordered this to series, we probably wouldn't have got Alda and Farr on MASH, so yay.
Want me to drop you someplace?
Being picked up.
All right, I'll see you when you get back.
I told you, Peter, you are not staying here. Check-out time was 4 o'clock this afternoon.
I'm just waiting for my son. Do you mind? I mean, is that too much to ask for me to hang around long enough just to see my son?
Your son is in Europe for 8 weeks.
I know.
In 1974, CBS attempted to capitalize on motorcycle stuntman Evel Knievel's peak fame by transforming the real-life Daredevil into a crime-fighting hero. In this half-hour adventure comedy pilot, Daredevil legend Evel Knievel is played by a very young Sam Elliott, sans mustache or deep gravelly voice, who doubles as both a stunt performer and a crime-fighting action hero. The episode centers on a battle of the sexes motorcycle showdown, complete with its own 70s girl boss. Evel must face off against a fearless female Daredevil while contending with a sinister scheme to sabotage the stunt. In classic 1970s TV style, he ultimately ends up thwarting the bad guys as well as Gravity. Evel Knievel the series was not picked up, and the episode never aired. CBS got cold feet by the time filming had wrapped, with worries that it might inspire dangerous imitations of Knievel's stunts, especially by Gen X kids. Plus, the concept of a real-life stunt performer as a crime fighter felt too gimmicky and would have been hard to sustain in weekly storytelling.
Knievel, come tomorrow, we're gonna run you out of that arena.
Evel Knievel, stuntman supreme, setting records, thrilling crowds, and now battling the worst evil of all, crime.
I want to thank you for coming here today. It's a pleasure to be with you. And I hope you'll enjoy the show. Thank you.
Almost Heaven was an offbeat sitcom pilot from 1978 that paired Green Acres star Ava Gabor and a pre-Airplane Robert Hayes with a young Jay Leno in a high-concept, whimsical premise. The focus was on a small group of angels who work at the Heavenly Crisis and Conscience Center, a staging zone of sorts between life on Earth and heaven. These angels are celestial caseworkers in the afterlife, trying to earn their wings by guiding the living through their personal struggles, all while juggling the bureaucracy of heaven itself. It was a mix of sentimental life lessons and quirky humor. This pilot did air on ABC as a standalone special on December 28, 1978. Oh, that was my mom's 21st birthday. But despite its charming premise and the potential for weekly feel-good stories, the network ultimately passed on ordering it as a series.
Take Davy down to Earth.
What'll I do when I get down there?
Don't worry, they'll tell you.
Yeah, but what about me? What about my problem?
Well, Randolph will take care of you.
I don't think I'm ready for this yet.
David, you know something? You're really a schnook. Now get going. Get out.
Bridget, you blew it. We're supposed to be on the other side of the door.
Don't yell at me. I'm very efficient. I only missed by 6 inches.
Yeah, except there's a wall in the way.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to get through this without giggling, but there are no guarantees. Velvet was a 2-hour pilot from TV powerhouse producer Aaron Spelling, known at the time for Charlie's Angels and Dynasty. It was about a team of 4 female government agents who go undercover as aerobics instructors at a global chain of fitness centers to infiltrate and bring down a criminal conspiracy. It's very much a Charlie's Angels style concept, dressed in leotards and neon. Velvet starred Leah Ayres, Sherry Belafonte, Mary Margaret Humes, and Sherry J. Wilson, and it premiered as an ABC TV movie in 1984. But it didn't make it to series because both critics and network execs found it to be too glossy and aesthetics focused while being derivative of earlier female spy shows. Here's how one review from Variety explained it. The biggest drawback of the pilot was that the physical stunts performed by the 4 athletic women seemed too obviously the work of stunt people. Velvet had the usual liberal dollops of slickness and posh locations that Aaron Spelling is noted for. The Spelling veneer always suggests a fighting chance to get at least a moderate audience reaction, but in this instance, ABC passed on Velvet.
1 and 2 and 3 and hold it. Now, when you teach these advanced techniques, be sure you tell your students to work up to it slowly, or to have their Blue Cross paid up.
Boots, the boss is here.
Okay, I'll be right there. And down. Paula, it's all yours. Now, you girls remember to read the new manuals. It says bend them, don't break them. Hi, guys. Did you see who's in there? Mrs. Vance.
No.
Mrs. Vance isn't in there? Yes.
Did you see who's with her?
No. The strawberry blonde.
Who? The chopper jockey?
What's she doing here?
How should I know?
Well, I was under the impression that no one got on this team unless one of us got off.
You said we were the Three Musketeers.
We are. So what do we need faux faux?
Faux faux?
Why don't we stop playing who's on first and go in and ask? Fine.
All right. I'll be speaking to the president later on this afternoon. I promise I'll get right back to you. All right.
Good morning, Mrs. Vance.
Nice to see you.
I trust your trip was pleasant, Miss V.
Acceptable. This is Ellen Stockwell.
How do you do?
We've met.
At the airfield. What on earth brings you here?
Well, your claw's in. Ellen is not a permanent member of Velvet. But the nature of this new case is such that I decided to bring in one more operative.
In 1983, NBC aired an extremely popular ensemble TV movie titled High School USA, which featured a bunch of teen stars like Michael J. Fox, Nancy McKeon, Dana Plato, Todd Bridges, Anthony Edwards, Crystal Bernard, and Crispin Glover, all as high school students at Excelsior High School. Their teachers were played by a slew of classic sitcom stars from the 50s and 60s, like Bob Denver, Tony Dow, Frank Bank, Ken Osmond, Don Wells, and Angela Cartwright. Because of the movie's popularity, the network tried to turn the idea into a series and a 1-hour TV pilot was shot. But because most of the teen actors were already starring in popular sitcoms like Different Strokes, Family Ties, and Facts of Life, they had to change up the cast. Bernard and Glover were the only teens who remained in the cast for the TV pilot in 1984, and they recast the teachers with even more classic sitcom stars, like Barbara Billingsley, Jerry Mathers, Burt Ward, Julie Newmar, Harriet Nelson, Ricky Nelson, and Dick York. This pilot was actually the final appearance for both Ricky Nelson and Dick York, who both passed away not long after it was shot. The result was a pilot that looked more like a TV history reunion special than a teenage high school comedy. Ultimately, NBC passed on turning the nostalgic TV movie into a series. The premise just didn't translate into sustainable weekly plots.
Hello.
How would you like to make $200?
Helps in the offer I had today.
Great. Hide her. Where? Anywhere. Just get her away from here. There's something very beau about this situation.
I knew he was up to something.
You were right, sir.
J.J. Manners and his auto shop club have a degenerate woman on their float. A foul lowlife who belongs back in the slimy gutters where she came from.
That happens to be my wife.
What?
Let's have a little talk in your office, Aang. Mr. McCarthy, I'm sure there's an explanation here.
No! You're in trouble, mister.
Aang!
Sir, I can explain. This isn't very funny, you know.
I know. Excuse me.
Would you have dinner with me tonight?
I'd love to.
And don't feel obligated just because
If
I'm
you
the
didn't
prince.
ask me by tomorrow, I would have asked you myself.
Out of Time was a sci-fi action pilot about a police officer from the year 2088 named Channing Taylor, played by Bruce Abbott, who chases a criminal through time and ends up stranded in 1988 Los Angeles. There he meets his legendary great-grandfather, Maxwell Taylor, played by Bill Maher, a man whose hero status in the future has yet to be earned. They team up in order to catch the crook and set history on its proper course. The cast for this failed pilot also included Rebecca Schaeffer, the star of My Sister Sam, who was sadly gunned down by a stalker in the summer of 1989. Christian Alfonso, known for playing Hope Brady on Days of Our Lives for more than 2 decades, had a supporting role along with Adam Ant, who played the futuristic criminal. This pilot did not earn a series pickup, but it did air on NBC as the network's Sunday night movie in July of 1988. I put a link in the description if you want to watch it. The feedback from both critics and audiences pointed to execution issues. The time travel concept was intriguing, but there was an inconsistent tone. Blending sci-fi with comedic awkwardness made it feel uneven. Plus, the special effects and tech gadgets were really, really bad. But still, watch it, it's kind of fun.
Well? Oh no, what? We can't be here. You can't be here. Today's Saturday, October 19th.
What are you talking about?
Your life. It says here that on the afternoon of Saturday, October 19th, 1988, the City Rail Tunnel collapses. You're supposed to be there. You saved the life of every construction worker in the tunnel.
I do? I mean, when? When is this all supposed to take place?
10 minutes. 3rd and Hill.
My old beat.
Forget it. We will never make it. It is impossible.
Impossible is nothing but an excuse for the weak and a challenge for the bold. Did I get that right?
Verbatim.
Whether they know it or not, there are people counting on us. So what's it gonna be?
I vote bold.
Bold.
Unanimous. So what are we doing here?
Sometimes you know what you're looking for.
2 years after Elizabeth Shue charmed audiences in the hit 1987 teen comedy Adventures in Babysitting, CBS decided to try a TV version. The Adventures in Babysitting pilot kept a basic premise. A well-meaning babysitter's night spirals into a series of unpredictable mishaps. But they recast all of the roles and dialed the chaos down to sitcom-safe levels. In this version, high schooler Chris Parker, now played by Jennifer Guthrie, takes Brad, Sarah, and Daryl on a simple run to the convenience store. But that trip goes sideways when the store is held up, turning into a chaotic hostage situation. Joey Lawrence, fresh off his early success on Give Me a Break, played Brad, while Brian Austin Green appeared as Daryl just months before making his debut on Beverly Hills 90210. The show aimed to capture the wild night in the big city feel of the movie, but the scale was so much smaller, and there was no Vincent D'Onofrio as Thor. Womp womp. Despite its cinematic pedigree, the sitcom-toned pilot lacked the creative tension and unpredictable energy of the original film. Confining the action to a single store hostage scenario gave it a forced feel, and there was no compelling long-term hook. I mean, was Chris supposed to babysit the kids every week and always wind up in chaos? CBS hoped to appeal to families who enjoyed the movie's blend of teen adventure and slapstick comedy, but the absence of the original cast and the toned down, more episodic format left the pilot feeling generic, unfunny, and completely underwhelming. Adventures in Babysitting never went to series, but it did air one time as part of CBS's Summer Playhouse Showcase of Unsold Pilots in July of 1989.
Look who's here.
Chris!
Mwah! How's my favorite superhero?
Thor's in terrible trouble. He's been captured by teenage mutant jerks and they won't give him back.
Brad, don't you think it's time you stopped torturing your sister?
Yeah, you're right. Hey, it's getting late. I'm gonna go to the mall.
Hold on, Flash. You're not going anywhere until you return her Thor. You got it?
Oh, Philip, we've got to go. I love you. Chris, we'll be at my sister's having dinner till about midnight. Here's the number.
Speaking of that CBS Summer Playhouse Showcase, let's talk about the Coming to America TV pilot. After Eddie Murphy's movie became a box office smash in 1988, CBS rushed to develop a TV spin-off, but without Murphy, Arsenio Hall, or, well, almost anyone from the original cast. The premise shifted from Prince Hakim's fish out of water romance in Queens to a younger royal relative arriving in the United States to get his own taste of the American dream. The pilot follows Prince Tariq of Zamunda, played by Tommy Davidson, who is sent to the US to attend college. Tariq blows through his allowance almost immediately, so he and his personal aide, Oha, take jobs to make ends meet, living in Queens and working in a diner, while Tariq fumbles through college life and American culture. Paul Bates did reprise his movie role as Oha, the loyal royal servant, making him the only direct link to the film. The tone leaned heavily on sitcom tropes, culture clash misunderstandings, mistaken slang, and gentle pokes at both American consumerism and Zamundan traditions. Just like with Adventures in Babysitting, CBS aired the pilot as part of its Summer Playhouse series in 1989, but it did not connect with audiences. Critics noted that without Murphy's comedic spark or the romantic core of the original film, the concept felt like a watered-down echo. The world of Zamunda was barely explored, and the US setting lacked the layered humor that came from Akeem's journey in the movie. The TV pilot for Coming to America is now best remembered for being a stepping stone in Davidson's early career. Just months later, he would join in Living Color and become a breakout star.
What I'm trying to say is I have been planning and analyzing how one goes about making money. Do you realize I am just like this Donald Trump guy?
Where did you get the money to buy a book?
A man gave it to me.
Gave it to you?
Gave it to me, threw it at me. What's the difference? Relax. Wonderful news. Trump's book says all I have to do to make money is acquire properties and buildings, hold them, and sell them at a profit.
Your Highness, no one is going to sell you a building without money.
It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder why I ever left the money.
Car 307, proceed to magnitude savings. Interrogate another Insta-Teller robbery victim.
Hey, who's this?
I'm Casey, the new dispatcher.
Casey? Anyone ever tell you you got a real sexy voice?
All the time, Puchinsky.
Puchinsky was a surreal comedy drama / police procedural pilot about a tough Chicago detective named Stanley Puchinsky, played by the legendary Peter Boyle, who is killed in the line of duty and then reincarnated as a flatulent, talking English bulldog. Now, as a dog, Puchinsky continues solving crimes with his human partner, Detective Robert McKay, who is played by George Newbern, as he deals with the challenges of being a canine cop. The premise combines supernatural elements, slapstick humor, and crime procedural tropes. The pilot's tone was a strange mix of family-friendly comedy and crime drama, which made it hard to market or classify. The concept was widely considered too weird and campy, even for 1990. Critics and executives found the mix of talking dog antics with serious crime drama jarring. The special effects and dog training couldn't quite sell the detective reincarnated as a dog idea convincingly. Surprisingly, this pilot aired on NBC in the summer of 1990, but not surprisingly, failed to attract a series order. In the 35 years since, Puchinsky has achieved cult status as a legendary so bad it's good pilot, frequently cited on lists of the weirdest or worst unsold TV pilots ever made. Like this one.
Boy, you're really beating yourself up over this, aren't you?
Who said that?
Short memory. It's your partner, Puchinsky. Ha! Surprise!
I've gone over the edge. You're not real.
You want proof? My badge number is 309. You've got a card in your wallet that tells you how much to tip. Last Friday you said the sports coat I was wearing looked like the tablecloth in an Italian restaurant. What do I gotta do to convince you? Everybody loves somebody sometime. Everybody falls in love somehow.
Chinsky, how did you become a dog?
All I know is I saw this big tunnel and this big shaft of light, and I heard voices at the end of it. Relatives' voices. And they were calling, here boy, come on, come on. And next thing I knew, I had a tail.
This is amazing. You're a dog.
Hear it call. It's not a mall.
Shangri-La Plaza was a musical comedy pilot made for CBS in 1990 that centered around a family-run shopping mall in a working-class neighborhood. The story focused on the everyday lives and antics of the employees and customers, blending workplace comedy with family dynamics. It aimed to capture the diversity and humor of urban life in the early 90s, portraying a close-knit community through the lens of this local hub. Now, when I say musical comedy, I really mean it. The entire show was sung. It plays like a Broadway musical dropped into a strip mall, with a mixture of romantic subplots, comic rivalries, and showstopper routines. Shangri-La Plaza was filmed on location at an actual mini mall located at the corner of Vineland Avenue and Burbank Boulevard in North Hollywood. The cast included future Office star Melora Hardin, Academy Award nominee Chris Sarandon, jazz singer Carmen Lundy, and two-time Tony Award nominee Terrence Mann, the original Beast on Broadway. The show also featured Tony Award winner Savion Glover in one of his first TV roles, and an 8-year-old Allison Mack, future star of Smallville and NXIVM cult member. In addition to being a musical, this pilot was unique because of its colorful set design that came from Emmy Award-winning art director Jeremy Railton, known for his work on Pee-wee's Playhouse. However, the all-sung sitcom was a radical format for 1990 network primetime. Musicals were expensive, risky, and difficult to market to typical broadcast audiences. CBS aired the pilot as a one-night summer fill-in in July of 1990, but declined to pick it up as a series. And I know, for many Gen Xers, the moment you bring up a musical TV series that was an epic fail, the mind automatically goes to Cop Rock. But I didn't put it on this list because Cop Rock actually ran for 11 episodes, while Shangri-La Plaza was a one and done.
Got no job, got mouths to feed, and Paris seems so far away.
So long, goodbye, she's gone, that's life.
My hopes, my dreams,
You know it's never, never what it seems.
ain't it always the way?
No,
Ain't it always the way?
ain't it always the way?
Ain't it always the way?
Based on the 1989 Tom Hanks movie, the Turner and Hooch TV pilot from 1990 followed Detective Scott Turner, who must solve crimes while cohabitating with Hooch, a large, slobbery dog. Similar to the film, Turner, now played by Back to the Future star Thomas F. Wilson, attempts to maintain order as Hooch's chaotic behavior continually disrupts his work and home life. Oh, and I should mention that the role of Hooch was once again played by Beasley the dog, who also starred in the movie. The tone of this pilot aimed for family-friendly procedural comedy, blending crime-solving with canine antics. It's pretty obvious the premise just didn't work as a TV show, though. Without Hanks, it failed to capture the movie's original spirit. Turner and Hooch did air just once as part of the magical world of Disney in July of 1990, but now it only exists as an industry footnote as one of the many film to TV attempts that never took off. However, thanks to the internet, if you have the desire to watch it, you absolutely can. It's available here on YouTube, and I put a link to it in this video's description.
Sit down. Sit down, Flapping Jaws. You had breakfast.
Ray, hold! 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 Ê, mà cậu thua, lôi từ mẹ lại tranh phong à?
You missed the muffin.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I know. I'm sorry. Hi, I'm sorry. Hooch, that is not your food, okay? I'm sorry, Mrs. Miller.
What in the name of food? Hey! Breakfast is on the house, everybody.
Look Well was a pilot created by Conan O'Brien and Robert Smigel that starred Adam West as Ty Lookwell, a washed-up TV detective star who genuinely believes he's a real detective and that his old TV skills translate to real police work. Lookwell sets out to solve a string of classic carjackings in his town, fumbling hilariously through clues and interacting awkwardly with real police officers who tolerate his antics more than respect his methods. It's a dark, absurdist comedy about a man chasing relevance and justice with zero self-awareness. Produced by Lorne Michaels and the SNL crew from the early 90s, the pilot was made for NBC, who aired it in the summer of 1991 in a weekend time slot that the network reserved for burning off pilots that they had passed on. Despite its sharp writing and hilarious performances, Lookwell was considered too quirky and dark for mainstream audiences in 1991. The show's absurdist tone and anti-hero lead were a hard sell for NBC's primetime lineup, which favored more traditional sitcoms or dramas. However, Lookwell has gained cult status over the years thanks to word of mouth and its availability online. Comedy fans often cite it as a lost gem and praise West's brilliant self-aware performance. Lookwell is now seen as ahead of its time, paving the way for later, more successful meta-comedies starring flawed or deluded protagonists. It remains a must-watch for fans of offbeat humor and West's post-Batman career. The link is in the description.
What seems to be the problem, officers?
We're handling it, sir. Could you please step back?
I don't think you understand. I used to play a detective.
Oh, yeah. He was Bennigan.
No, that was George Kennedy. I was Bannigan.
Could we get back to this, please? We'll do what we can, sir, but this is the fifth lot to have a classic car stolen this week.
Sounds to me like a string of classic car thefts. You boys better check it out. As Shakespeare reminds us, how oft the sight of means to do ill deeds makes ill deeds done.
Would you get lost?
Very well. I'll leave it to you, gentlemen, for now. And as for you, sir, it wouldn't hurt to be more careful about the kind of scum you rent your cars out to.
Yes, we have another failed TV pilot based on a popular movie. 7 years after the original Revenge of the Nerds became a surprise box office hit, Fox tried to turn it into a weekly sitcom without any of the stars from the film. This pilot was essentially a soft reboot of the original story. A group of socially awkward but resourceful students band together to take on the jocks and win a place for themselves on campus. Mr. Belvedere star Rob Stone took over the role of Lewis, and Lightfield Lewis took over as Gilbert. And I must mention that Robbie Rist, aka Cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch, took on the role of Booger. But while the Nerds movies were raunchy R-rated comedies, the TV version was toned down considerably for network television, stripping away much of the edgy humor in favor of broad, family-friendly gags. Without the recognizable cast or the unapologetically bawdy humor of the films, the pilot struggled to capture the same magic. Fox ultimately passed on the series and the pilot never aired, but it did show up on the panty-rated edition of the Revenge of the Nerds DVD and Blu-ray. The failure of this pilot once again highlighted a common challenge of the era. Adapting an R-rated hit into a PG-rated sitcom rarely worked because it meant removing the very elements that made the original property stand out in the first place.
You guys showed me something.
Hey, we're gonna be the coolest fraternity on campus.
The one that gets all the babes.
The one that gets all their flu shots.
Okay, girls, it's photo time. 1, 2, 3.
The 1992 TV pilot Steel Justice was absolutely wild. Here's the premise. In the not-so-distant future, a cop named David Nash is grieving over the death of his young son, who was killed by a roving gang, when he encounters a shaman named Jeremiah, who magically transforms his son's small Robosaurus toy into a 40-foot-tall weapon of destruction. At the time, truck shows were a big deal, and Robosaurus was often the star of the show, so obviously there had to be a TV show that included this fire-breathing mechanical beast as a weapon to fight crime. The show tried to combine traditional cop drama elements with over-the-top action scenes, aiming for a blend of family-friendly excitement and cheesy sci-fi spectacle. But no, just no. As you can imagine, the odd blend of gritty cop drama with a mechanical dinosaur was jarring and didn't land well with audiences or executives. Critics and test viewers found the concept too gimmicky and campy for serious drama, yet not quite fun enough to be a full-on action adventure. NBC did air the pilot as a TV movie, but it failed to generate enough interest to be developed into a series. Steel Justice is a prime example of early 90s television experimenting with wild, high-concept stunts that didn't quite click, and its use of Robosaurus is often cited as one of the most bizarre TV cop show gimmicks ever attempted.
Concentrate, David. Concentrate. And picture in your mind the one object your son valued more than anything else in the world.
Could be half robot, half dinosaur. It's made of the hardest steel, and it can crush a car, and can crush almost anything.
Come on, man! You can make it happen!
What's he called?
Robosaurus.
Okay, so I went back and forth on whether or not I should include South of Sunset in this video because 6 episodes of the show were actually filmed, but only the pilot aired before CBS canceled it. That's right, 1 episode and it got the axe. South of Sunset was a detective drama that starred Eagles frontman Glenn Fry as Cody McMahon, a former movie production security chief turned private investigator who forms the Beverly Hills Detective Agency. In the pilot, Cody teams up with Ziggy Duane, played by Ari Spears, to work a case, and that's about all I can say about the pilot. It was so bad. Everything from the writing to the acting was just an epic fail. CBS tried to hype it up during the 1993 World Series ahead of its debut, but it just didn't work. The pilot got brutal reviews and extremely poor ratings due to disastrous timing. It premiered after Game 5 of the World Series, which ran late, and in California, live coverage of the Malibu wildfires preempted it. According to the Los Angeles Times, South of Sunset brought in just 9% of its available audience. It scored the lowest premiere ratings ever up to that point for a big three network show. That's CBS, NBC, and ABC. Randomly, 1 year after the ill fated premiere, four more episodes were released on VH1, but it still remains a punchline in lists like this one.
What can you tell me about that night?
Well, I mean, I actually really don't remember all that much. Mom and Dad were away on one of their reconciliation trips.
Reconciliation?
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really been getting along all that well lately. I mean, the whole family's been under a lot of stress. You can't imagine the pressure, Mr. McMahon.
I believe I can. I work with a lot of people in the entertainment business.
Well, then you know success can make your life a whole lot harder than it ever was when you were a nobody.
The Omen pilot from 1995 was an attempt to adapt the famous Richard Donner directed horror film from 1976 into a weekly supernatural thriller series, but it was unrelated to the previous films when it came to continuity. It was supposed to be more of an anthology type series, like an X-Files style supernatural story, instead of a direct Damien continuation. The pilot followed a group of people who were tracking down an entity that feeds on human host bodies. It aimed to explore the psychological horror and religious themes from the films, but over a longer serialized format suitable for television. Donner was attached to the project as an executive producer, but despite the strong brand recognition, this 1 hour pilot struggled to find a tone that balanced suspense with the network's content restrictions. The pacing of a slow building horror story clashed with typical episodic TV expectations. Audiences and executives found the concept too dark and niche for mainstream network television at the time. The pilot did air, though, on NBC in September of 1995, but it was not picked up for a series. When it comes to Omen lore, this pilot is remembered as an ambitious but ultimately unsuccessful attempt to turn a classic horror film into a TV series. It stands as an example of the challenges of adapting horror for episodic television decades before the recent wave of high quality horror shows on cable and streaming platforms.
I'm gonna devour you like I did your wife and baby.
Following the cult success of Kevin Smith's 1994 indie film Clerks, ABC commissioned a pilot to adapt the story into a sitcom, but they did it without Smith's knowledge, much less his involvement. The pilot was created and written by different TV writers under ABC's direction and produced by Touchstone Television. Once again, the story followed Dante Hicks and Randall Graves, this time played by Andrew Lowry and Saturday Night Live star Jim Brewer, as store clerks with dead end jobs. But they aren't at the quick stop in the video store next door. Instead, they are employed at a convenience store and video store that are located in a strip mall in New Jersey. The tone aimed to replicate the film's sarcastic, fast-talking humor and relatable slacker vibe, but wow, was this an absolute disaster. The supporting cast included a new female character played by Carrie Russell, post Mickey Mouse Club but pre Felicity, and there was no Jay and Silent Bob. The original Clerks' low budget, black and white, profanity laced humor was replaced by safe, generic network sitcom writing. Fans of the film, like myself, would not have recognized the tone, and with none of the film's actors reprising their roles and no Jay or Silent Bob, the pilot felt disconnected from its source. It was so bad that it never aired, and it was quietly passed on by the network. And this one really hurts because Clerks is one of my favorite movies of all time, and one of the first popular movies I can remember from a Gen X filmmaker and writer. The 1995 Clerks pilot is a textbook example of a network trying to adapt a cult indie movie without the creator's involvement, resulting in a generic sitcom that had almost nothing in common with the original film, and it vanished without a trace, until it popped up online a few years ago. The link is in the description.
It's open! He's seen one! It's got stop! It's unbelievable!
Hey, did you guys ever think about spending more time in your own stores?
Dante, customers need us, they know where to find us.
Really?
Hey, is the ice cream guy in here?
Haven't seen him.
Another one.
There he goes, he's going for another pressure.
He's wide open, he's wide open!
Oh! Good try, but hey!
Hey, honey, another busy day at the office?
Oh, it never ends, especially now that I've promoted myself to Zordak, god of all things convenient.
In 1997, a Fargo pilot was made in an attempt to adapt the Coen brothers' 1996 film into a network TV series. It continued the story of Marge Gunderson, this time played by Edie Falco instead of Frances McDormand, and it picks up right after the events of the movie when Marge investigates the murder of a pharmacist while still pregnant. The pilot tried to capture the quirky Midwestern tone and dark humor of the movie, but of course, the content was softened for network TV and it watered down the film's edge, which meant losing much of its unique dark humor and tension. The Fargo pilot struggled to find the right balance between drama and comedy. It was directed by Kathy Bates, but had zero involvement from the Coen brothers. The series was not picked up, but the episode did air in 2003 during Trio's brilliant but canceled series of failed TV shows. Even though the pilot was not picked up, it did set the stage for Noah Hawley's later acclaimed FX anthology Fargo, which honored the film style and tone and won critical and popular success. If you're interested, the link to the 1997 Fargo pilot is in this video's description.
These your shells, Mr. Stillman?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah? JB and I, we make our own birdshot, don't we then?
Yeah. Waste not, want not. Why buy new when the old ones do, as my dad always says.
Yeah.
Well, then these could be yours then, is that right?
Yeah, I think they are. See, I like to put an extra crimp or two around the edge there, like that. Kind of like my trademark.
I see. I don't suppose you have a size 8 shoe, now do you?
Oh, heck no, I'm a 12 wide. Why?
Could you do us a favor and show us then?
Yeah, sure. Now, what the heck kind of hunter has itty-bitty feet like that? Except my wife, maybe, but, well, gee, she hasn't hunted in donkey's years.
Does your wife have access to your weapon then, sir?
Don't mess around. You bring me down. I forget about. Don't make the sound and move.
I could not end this video without mentioning Heat Vision and Jack from 1999. You may be aware that this one existed since it came from Dan Harmon and Ben Stiller and starred Jack Black and Owen Wilson, but it's still obscure enough to close out this list. Heat Vision and Jack was a comedy science fiction pilot that was created and written by Harmon and Rob Schrab and directed by Stiller. It was originally ordered by Fox, but it never made it to series. In this uniquely offbeat, hyper-stylized meta-comedy, Jack Black plays Jack Austin, a former astronaut whose brain becomes super intelligent, but only in direct sunlight. But before the audience is introduced to him, the pilot opens with a tongue-in-cheek bit that features Stiller talking about the canceled Ben Stiller show, which only lasted for one season but managed to win an Emmy. Stiller sarcastically criticizes George Lucas for not having an Emmy, and then we get a short sting and a title sequence that explains how Jack got his powers and how Heat Vision came into existence. Who or what is Heat Vision, you ask? Well, that's a talking motorcycle voiced by Wilson. He was created when Jack's roommate Doug was shot by an experimental ray gun, which caused him to merge with his motorcycle. The villain in this pilot is Ron Silver, as himself, who works for NASA and is on a mission to capture or kill Jack. It may seem crazy, but this pilot was an absurd take on 80s television shows like Knight Rider, and it was kind of ahead of its time. It didn't land for Fox in 1999, so they declined to pick it up as a series, but it did pave the way for future projects from Harmon like Community and Rick and Morty, and gave Stiller another directing credit after films like Reality Bites and The Cable Guy. He would later direct Zoolander and Tropic Thunder, and Heat Vision was actually featured as part of the mockumentary Tropic Thunder Reign of Madness, stating that character Jeff Portnoy played the role of Jack Austin. Seriously, that's just comedy genius. I love it so much. If you haven't seen Heat Vision and Jack, do yourself a favor and give it 30 minutes of your time. The link to it is in this video's description.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
Jack Austin, astronaut. Exposed to inappropriate levels of solar energy.
Sunlight makes him the world's smartest man.
I know everything!
I want that brain taken out.
Heat Vision, the motorcycle with the mind of Jack's unemployed roommate. Together they run for their lives, blocked at every turn by adventure.
And there you have it. TV pilots from the 70s, 80s, and 90s that you didn't know existed. Let me know what you think in the comments. Which one should have made it to series? Which ones were thankfully left on the proverbial shelf? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you love talking about all things 70s, 80s, and 90s, please like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you can catch my Friday night live streams. We have a lot of fun watching videos, playing games, and reminiscing about our so-called Gen X lives. I also have a Discord where I stream movies, play games, and we hang out and talk about our favorite Gen X things. And finally, if you want to become a channel member like these fine people here on the screen, I've got 2 options, and all you have to do is click on the join button below this video. That's enough for me today. I'll see you later. Okay, bye.
Could you take me for a funky ride? Yes, well, I'll do anything.